For 3 months, we searched these hills looking for these kids. We had multiple airplanes to cover the land because it's so vast. Once there was no sign of them, we just had this feeling that they weren't above ground.
In December 2018, Bill Powell started searching for his son, and Amanda Hunt started searching for her niece. The teenagers had gone missing in the small mining town of Eureka, Utah.
Pretty positive that they were murdered here.
She nailed next to the hole there, and then...
And he lured him in.
The bodies of 17-year-old Breezy Ottenson and her boyfriend, 18-year-old Riley Powell, were eventually found. They had been stabbed and thrown 100 feet into a mine shaft near the town. Police charged a man named Jared Baum with the murders. He has a long criminal history and is accused of kidnapping and killing the teenagers in a jealous rage after they visited his girlfriend. The case is now part of a debate over what justice looks like in a state that's wrestling with the death penalty.
When they first brought us to the prosecutor's office, they explained everything to us. And they said that he could possibly die for what he did.
Well, they asked us what we wanted.
And what did you say?
Capital punishment.
Death penalty, for sure. There's no rehabilitation that would work for him because he's proven that nothing works. So why keep babying him? Just take care of business.
The trial is set to start early next year, and Baum is pleading not guilty. State prosecutors did initially seek the death penalty, but then in September, the county attorney overseeing the case had a change of heart.
Seeking the death penalty seemed the right decision at the time, but upon further reflection, I am convinced that its costs far outweigh its benefits to the community as a whole.
How did you feel when you found out the prosecutor would no longer be seeking the death penalty?
I mean, I feel he works for us, and it's not his right to make that decision. He believes that the death penalty is wrong, and there's probably a lot of people that do, but I feel it's not his right to be able to take that away from us, because he didn't lose nobody. We did.
There's never truly justice because justice would be getting the kids back. For me, it's not about vengeance. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. The law states we, the people, can decide if there's capital punishment, and that's being taken away. And that's not fair.
I have had a tortured relationship with the death penalty. I found myself completely uncomfortable with the power that I have as the elected prosecutor. When people say, well, the government has decided to seek the death penalty, what that means is some guy, in this case me, lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, thinking, should I seek the death penalty or shouldn't I? The death penalty is used as leverage, as a bargaining chip, to say, listen, if you'll plead guilty to life in prison, we won't seek the death penalty. We won't kill you if you don't make us prove the allegations that we're making against you. That's a huge moral issue, in my mind.
Do you have a moral opposition to capital punishment itself?
Do I think that it is immoral for the government to kill someone? I don't think we have enough minutes on this program to delve into that.
I mean, it's a very simple question that's at the core of this issue. Do you have a moral opposition to capital punishment?
I believe that my stance as a pro-life person on the abortion issue aligns with my stance that I'm against the death penalty. And I believe that it's up to God to decide when we die.
What about the victims' families who want to seek the death penalty, who were told initially that the state would seek the death penalty, and now they feel like the rug has been pulled out from underneath them?
My heart aches for every victim. The criminal justice system doesn't have the capacity to heal hearts and wounded souls. And so what I say to all victims of crime is, if you choose to try to heal from this trauma that's been done to you, please find a way to do so outside the criminal justice system. Your healing will be so much more complete if you seek healing elsewhere.
Utah is one of the most Republican states in the nation, and abolishing the death penalty isn't exactly a winning issue here. The state even brought back firing squads in 2015, but the debate is shifting.
I'm not sure that it's really a conservative virtue to say that the government should be killing someone.
Dan McKay is a Republican state senator. He's co-sponsoring a bill that would repeal the death penalty and replace it with a sentence of 45 years to life. 26 states no longer use capital punishment. If Utah joins them, it would be the first conservative state to do so in nearly 50 years. Do you think there's a particular way to convince Republicans to repeal the death penalty as opposed to Democrats?
I think Republicans are definitely more focused on the fiscal issues and the difficulties that come as a result of the appeals process. And on average, it's taking between 20, 25 years, maybe 30. I don't think people realize how long it takes for the death penalty to be carried out versus life without parole or even life with 45 years. These people will go on and die in ignominy where they belong.
Utah lawmakers have tried unsuccessfully to repeal the death penalty before, but the cost of carrying out a death sentence has gone way up, giving Republicans in the state house a more practical argument. Studies consistently show the death penalty cost taxpayers more than life in prison. Between 1997 and 2016, Utah spent roughly $40 million on death penalty cases that resulted in just 2 death sentences.
It's a lie. The death penalty and its function does not fulfill its intended purpose. The other part of this is we've all kind of as a society watched how this works, where the victims largely are forgotten in the process. More times than not, they're going to be drugged through a long process and the person is going to die in prison of their own accord.
One of the strongest voices for repealing the death penalty in Utah is herself a relative of a murder victim.
This is a picture of her in 1980, and she's so much fun. You can see her personality in her face.
Sharon Wright Weeks' older sister Brenda and niece Erica were murdered in 1984.
She had just turned a year in this picture. She was 15 months old when she was murdered.
Brenda's husband's brothers, Ron and Dan Lafferty, were part of an extremist Mormon cult and claimed to have had a revelation from God to kill them. Weeks was 15 at the time.
In the middle of the early morning hours, my mom came downstairs to my sister Jeanette in my bedroom, and she turned the light on and asked me if I was awake. And then I heard this horrible sound, and I realized that it was my dad and that he was screaming and crying at the same time. My parents just grabbed us and hugged us, and we went into the living room together as a family, and we knelt down in prayer and asked for help.
The 2 brothers were eventually convicted. Dan Lafferty got life in prison. Ron Lafferty got the death penalty.
How did you feel when Ron Lafferty was sentenced to death?
I thought it was a just sentence.
What changed your mind?
The fact that it didn't happen. Ron Lafferty committed the murders in 1984. He died of natural causes on November 11th, 2019. This has been my entire adult life. I was drugged right along with him through the appellate process that didn't ever reveal any kind of justice. It was just open-ended. You're shackled to the person who murdered your loved ones.
The case became a media spectacle.
Ron and his brother Dan claimed heavenly revelation as reason for slashing the throats of their sister-in-law and her baby.
The slow torture of showing up at court through appeals and even a retrial turned Weeks against the death penalty. She's now working with lawmakers to repeal it in Utah.
Would you support capital punishment if it did happen quicker?
Absolutely. The death penalty is a life sentence that costs a lot of extra money and gives a lot of publicity to a murderer. It makes them famous.
And it wouldn't have been this way if he had gotten life in prison.
A lot of people don't even know there were 2 men that killed my sister, because you don't even hear about the one that's just spending his life in prison because we never speak his name. I absolutely do not fault anybody for wanting a death penalty.
Some of us been here for over 3 years.
Mm-hmm. It's lasted, though.
Yeah.
I was looking at Breezy's Facebook. Riley, He was just saying how much he loved her and how much he was her world, and it was really neat, actually. I'll have to show it to you. This mine shaft represents a place to come for the kids. It's a central point that we can honor them and respect
to them.
Talk to them?
Mm-hmm.
He talks to them.
He don't answer, though.
I want to extend a gift to the next family that they won't even understand they've been given. Being able to put the person that so heinously took their loved ones' lives in prison, have them fade into obscurity and never speak their name again.